Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the brand new Hinderer Jurassic Gen 2. As the name would indicate, it is an upgrade from the original one, which is now henceforth known as the Gen 1. It's apparently, from what I've heard, quite a major upgrade. I never handled the original Jurassic, but even people who sold them admitted that, they weren't that popular, primarily because they were made back in the day when Hinderer was known for running only on Teflon washers, and they had, let's face it, some pretty questionable detents, and they were really expensive back then on the secondary markets. They were going crazy. Now they're much more widely available, and this new Gen 2 has infinitely better detent, as all the newer Hinderers do. The days of the wonky detents are long since gone. And it's got the tri-way pivot, probably the most important thing. All the new Hinderers have this. It's really cool. You can run it on bearings, on phosphor bronze washers, or the old school Teflon washers if you want. I've covered that extensively in other videos. This is on bearings. All my Hinderer videos are mostly done on the bearings. I usually do swap the washers in and out a little bit, but you know what? I've done that enough. I know what it does to the action. I prefer the bearings by far, and then the phosphor bronze and the Teflon are pretty close in the action, but it's not quite as snappy and as drop shutty as you get with the bearings. I like those, but if you are a hard user guy, which a lot of Hinderer people are, you may want to switch that out. Before we get into this knife too much more, I will say it is not inexpensive. It's a Hinderer. It's $425. And if you want to spend $425 on one, I recommend USA Made Blade. They're great. They helped me get my hands on this. Went around to another reviewer, then came to me. So really happy to get my hands on it because it's one that really intrigued me as soon as I saw it. Some of the full-size Hinderers I don't love as much, but this one looked like it would just fit my hand better. The Jurassics, even the people who didn't like the action on them, always really talked about how great the ergos were. So excited to get my hands on it, and it was worth it. It's a pretty darn cool knife. You get most of your usual Hinderer stuff. G10 scale on one side, comes in many colors. This is only the slicer grind blade. That's the only blade that you're going to get. The XM18 and stuff, they have multiple blades for. I'm sure this will come out in multiple blades if it catches on, multiple blade shapes, but pretty cool. Other than that, you got your usual looking Hinderer lock side, with a little round over travel stop. Right hand only, tip up, tip down carry. A lot of the usual Hinderer hardware. A lot of the XM18 hardware will fit this. It does have a very unique backspacer. It's got the modular backspacer system. You will notice compared to the Gen 1, it does not have the little lanyard hole on it, the little lanyard hole pommel. That's coming. Hinderer did confirm that will be available. If you are a lanyard guy, you will be able to get a backspacer later on that has that pommel-shaped lanyard hole on it. But right now, it's just got this smooth one, which I like. I think it looks cool, but you can see tiny little Torx wrench in there. You can unscrew that and take the backspacer out and swap it out. Pretty sweet. I'm interested to see what other ones they come out with. I'm sure there's going to be like a glass breaker or something like that. Sure they'll have stuff like that. But let's do some specs and a lot of size comparisons, because this is a knife I know. It's a brand new model from Hinderer. You probably haven't seen it yet. I want to give everybody good size comparisons on this one. So just warning, there's going to be a lot. You have an overall length of 7 3/4 inches, a blade length of 3 1/4 inches. You have a blade thickness of the usual Hinderer, 0.16 inches, handle thickness of 0.52 inches, and a weight, according to my scale, of 5.4 ounces. So not a lightweight, but not too bad at all, really. For a big, overbuilt Hinderer, not too bad. Now let's do some size comparisons. We'll start out with the usuals. Do your our Spyderco sandwich. You have your Spyderco PM2 and the Para 3. And you can see it's kind of right between them in overall length. So it is a big, thick knife, but it's not overly gigantic. And then we'll do our Benchmades, and then we're going to bring out a whole bunch of Hinderers here. So you have your full-size Griptilian and the full-size Bug Out. Still weird saying that because now the mini one's out. You can see it's right about the same length as a Bug Out, an overall length, maybe just a hair longer. And now let's bring out some more Hinderers. One that you guys are going to want to see a comparison to, and you will. I have to reconfigure it back to its stock configuration because this one is has the tie scale and is much more expensive than what the what the Jurassic is. This is your XM18 3.5 inch. You can see just a little bit shorter, but a little bit bulkier than the XM18. And comparably, you know, ZT's basically version of the XM18. You have the 0562 tie. Again, just a little bit shorter than that. All three of those with that slicer grind blade on them. We'll bring out the XM18 3-inch, or this is the 3-inch one. This one is not mine. This is getting worked on. So you can see quite a bit bigger than the 3-inch. And lastly, we're going to pull out one that I think is one of the most underrated Hinderers. I really like it. This is the Eclipse 3-inch, or Eclipse 3.0, depending on what you want to call it. Just a little bit bigger than that, not dramatically larger. Okay, now let's talk more about this knife. The blade. You know, it's the usual what you'd expect from a Hinderer. Not screaming thin behind the edge. I know it's called the slicer grind, and it is a pretty good slicer, but you're still looking about 25 thousandths behind the edge. Pretty thick blade stock, but very high flat grind, and awesome sharpening out of the box, as you expect from Hinderer. It does a lot with what it has. It's a pretty darn good slicer. It's not like the most amazing thing in the world, but it is a very tough blade, and I'm not going to knock it for that. You know what you're getting when you're getting a Hinderer. You're not expecting it to be, you know, it will slice paper and cardboard and all that stuff very, very well, but, you know, it's not meant to be just that kind of stuff. It's meant for harder use things. And in that vein, you have a pretty robust tip. This is the Stonewash Finish. They also come in a Battle Black for a little bit more money. I think they're $465. And the Battle Black is pretty sweet. That's what is on this this 3-inch. The Battle Black is pretty awesome looking, I do have to say. Now, as far as the ergonomics go, that's the main thing I was looking forward to in this, because I've never been in love with the XM18's ergos. It's fine, especially in the 3.5. The 3-inch, I'm really not that much of a fan of it. But the ergos on this are outstanding. Very, very good. A little hot spot from the clip when you've got it in the tip down. If you have it tip up, there's no hot spot at all, but then it's, you know, I'm sorry, other way around. When you have it in tip up, there's a little bit of a hot spot. When you have it tip down, there isn't one, but then it's tip down. I'm not a tip down guy, so it's going to be this way. I'll deal with a tiny little hot spot. It's not really that bad at all. But other than that, man, it just fits in my hand so well. Jipping is in a perfect spot. I really like it. And as far as that hot spot goes too, there's so many aftermarket clips available for this. I could try something else out and see if maybe there's something that doesn't hit me quite in the same spot. But again, it's not horrid. It's just the only thing I have to complain about with the ergos. Other than that, it is excellent. I love that when you flip the tab, you don't have, like on the XM18, there's not a bunch of jimping here for your finger to land on. So it's a nice smooth place for your finger to land, which is excellent. Again, that jimping's in a good spot. This is definitely not a usable choil. This is just a pretty generous sharpening choil. Really, really like that. Another thing that I like about it a lot, and maybe in the end, probably the thing that I like the most about this, that I was really not expecting, is how well it carries. Got EO Wrangler Mark II. Of course, it slides in and out easy because it's just sliding on titanium there. And the Hinderer pocket clips are great, you know, tension-wise and stuff. But the angle of this pocket clip and the way that that flipper tab is kind of hidden away in the shape of the handle, this thing is a joy to carry. You get your hand right past it, no problem. You don't even notice the flipper tab. It's just great. I was really not expecting it. Yeah, 5.4 ounces. It's not light, but it isn't ridiculous. I mean, it's not. It carries extremely well. It carries so much better than the XM18. The XM18 isn't horrible, but the XM18 has all this jimping sticking out. You know, the flipper tab sticks out more. It carries extremely well. I'm really happy with that. And as far as the deployment goes, yeah, you just heard it. It's great. I haven't done anything to this one. I don't think the previous guy did either. Rockets right out. Like I said, the days of weak Hinderer detents are nigh but to memory. They are super easy to open now. Really like it, and very drop shutty. Again, you can swap into the washers if you want to. I'm probably never going to on this. I've done enough experimenting with them, as I said, that I know what I like, and this is the way it's going to stay. And I said this is the way it's going to stay because, spoiler alert for my conclusion. That's about the best way to sum up my conclusion is I bought this. Yeah, came to me. I'm the last guy it's coming to, and I messaged Woody last night at USMA Blade after, you know, a couple of days playing with this, and I just was like, all right, fine. What's it going to cost me? And he gave me a price, you know, based on the fact that it's been handed around a little bit. And yeah, and I just bought it. It's not the color I want. I want the blue, but I'm sure I can obtain one of those blue scales. Hinderer, I'm sure will shortly hereafter have those around. Or I might just dye these that chocolate brown color, because that's what I want it to look kind of stock, but I don't want the OD green. So I'll probably just get the blue scale whenever I can get my hands on one of those, because they do make it in a blue and a red, a whole bunch of their usual colors, and that bright blue looks really cool. I've always wanted a bright blue G10 Hinderer, and I never had one, so I think I'll probably swap out to that scale. I believe that even the original Jurassic scale will fit it. I'm not positive, but it certainly does look like in the pictures. The holes look all the same place and all that stuff. Like 90% sure it will, but don't quote me on that for sure. I may just buy one and try it out, because I did see a couple of those like on eBay or something of the blue ones. But I love Hinderers, and I really like this one. It may displace one of my other Hinderers. I'm not sure which one yet. Definitely not my XM18, because that was a gift, not my half track. I guess that leaves it to the Eclipse. It might replace the Eclipse in my collection. I don't know. I am going to do a comparison between this and the XM18. I'm probably going to do it Battle to the Death style. So because that way it's just a way to get, you know, everything out. I may throw the Eclipse in there too, since they are so close in size. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you want me to do a 3-way or just do the 2-way. I'm thinking just the 2-way, because they have the same blade. This has a completely different blade, because right now it's only available in the Spanto, because again, it's also a fairly new one. This I'm sure also will come out in other blade styles, and I'll probably get one, because I like the Spanto, don't love it. I like that new spear point with the fuller, and these slicers a little bit better. So there it is. There's my review of apparently my new knife. So yeah, I got my tax refund, so whatever. It was a good price. I bought it. So you'll be seeing more of this on the channel, I'm sure, because it is really cool, and it did very much impress me. Just the ergos are so good, and I really like that. And again, the XM18 never just blew me away in that manner. So and I enjoy flipping this a lot more, because I'm not hitting my finger on the little ridges. But yeah, you will see a full battle to the death between those two, probably next week sometime. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.